Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the Muslim Career Guide with your host Alia Qayyum. Today I'm joined with sister Zahra. Jazakallah her so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so do you want to give me a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and all of that fun stuff?
Yeah, so my name is Zahraa Berro. I am a full-time blogger. I've been blogging for around 3 years now. And last year, I decided to launch my own, hijab and modest fashion label called Zahraa The Label. And I design pieces and design clothing that are made to, problem solve a lot of issues that we face as Muslims, whether living in the West or internationally. And I create my own designs and things like that. So I hope whoever's listening can take a tune and take a peek, visit my website, visit me on social media, and stay tuned for amazing things to come.
Yeah, that we're super excited, and we'll definitely check that out. As we'll leave the links in the description box too. But before we get started with the interview, I like to do like icebreaker questions with my guests. So just really silly, quick questions that I have for you, and you can give your most recent answer.
Cool.
Okay, so what is your favorite book?
My favorite book is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, I've never heard of that one. But favorite movie?
Favorite movie, you know what? There's a lot of them. I would say Trolls. I watched that with my kids. Trolls, probably.
It's a good one. Do you like texting or calling better?
I'm calling.
Your favorite recent purchase?
My favorite recent purchase, my new camera.
Nice. What's one thing you can't live without?
My children.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And then the last one is, what is your favorite? What is your favorite food?
Pizza, lasagna, fries, fattoush. I love food. Mediterranean
We all do.
food. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, but mainly pizza would be my favorite.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much the rapid fire. So we'll jump right into the interview. My first question is, when and why did you decide to start Zahraa the Label?
Yeah, so I started off on social media, wearing just like my everyday simple hijab style for like many, many, many years. I felt like my hijab style kind of made me a little bit old. And then there was this trending hijab style that was flowy. I fell in love with it, but a lot of girls that were wearing it were showing their neck and some of their hair and their back and a little bit of their chest. And I just didn't find that to be modest for myself. And I decided to kind of go online and purchase like a hijab ninja cap, like a neck cover hijab. And then I started to promote that. And, a lot of people purchased it. I started selling it on my blog on zahraberro.com. And I got a like overwhelming number of support, people like saying, wow, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. But I still found a lot of problems with that specific one that I purchased. So I decided to design my own piece. And that's kind of how Zahraa The Label started. And I mean, and it literally originated from me wanting to impact women and me wanting to impact hijabi girls, young girls, older girls, that you could be stylish, you could wear any hijab style you want, but wear this under and you're going to have no problems compromising your modesty. So that's kind of, the first piece or the first product that I designed that was a huge success, since I sold out 3 times already.
Wow, mashallah, like that's amazing because it's like that's true. Sometimes like there's so many different hijab styles out there that are really pretty, and I've found so many like on Instagram. But sometimes you can see like it sometimes compromises on the modesty aspect of it too. So the fact that like we can
Absolutely.
still wear all the styles, but also have this way of still making sure we're not compromising that. That's honestly a solution that I think all of us can have.
Absolutely, absolutely, no doubt. And that's why my label exists. And it's not just that, like we have way more pieces coming moving forward as well. It's an on thinking process. I think what's the problem and how can we provide the best, most comfortable, most affordable solution to everybody.
Exactly. And then that's honestly a process that a lot of companies go through. They don't really look at starting a company. They just had a problem with themselves and they wanted to find a solution and then found that need for it. So that's just really cool how you also did that. Yeah.
Mhm, no
Did you
doubt.
have any fashion experience or a fashion degree before starting Zara the Label?
No, absolutely not. I have no idea about fashion design whatsoever when I first started
Mhm.
my label. But I am a fashion blogger and I do love, to dress up and look cute and do all of this type of stuff. So I do have an eye for it. I'm easily inspired by so many factors. Sometimes I could be at a store, or I see a magazine cover, or I see an Instagram post,
Yeah.
or I see like a video, and I'm like, oh, this is so cute. I wish I could make it modest.
Yeah.
And that's also like a couple of years ago in 2018. That's kind of how it all started. I wanted to. There was a mini skirt that I found a picture of, and I said this would be so cute if it was a maxi and it had the buttons on the side
Yeah.
and all of that type of stuff. But I didn't have money. I was literally just making $12.50, 54 cents an hour. And the money that I was making, I had to pay my bills and things like that. So
Mhm.
it always existed. The dream was there. But alhamdulillah, like, with the grace of God, I was able to save up a lot of money and start my label. So I have had an eye for it, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, to me that's impressive because looking through your website, like I would assume someone with like a degree or something like that. Like, but you seem like even having the eye for it, and also just it kind of proves that you don't need to have a degree or like that sort of thing. Because Masha, looking at your website, I would assume that like someone very like a professional would be doing this, but you are a professional with having the fashion blogging like experience, which is so cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's definitely a trial and error. It's not like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of mistakes that happen because I'm not a fashion designer. But these are things that you learn along the way, just like anything in life. Sometimes you have to, make the mistake to learn the lesson. So,
Exactly.
that's what happened. Zahra the label was launched, but it was not perfect. I did have my errors, and these are things that we're learning along the way, so that way we avoid these errors moving forward. And had I not done those errors, I wouldn't have known that I should fix them moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
it's totally fine. It's totally fine to, admit your mistakes and admit that you're not perfect and admit that you're not a fashion designer and that, yes, it's still possible as long as you keep on trying, especially because, my goal is to make sure that it is perfect and that it is amazing and that from all aspects, including sizing as well.
Exactly. That's honestly really awesome. And speaking of, like, before you were starting your company, what were the risks that you saw, and how did you like try to overcome those fears and also attempt to avoid those risks?
A really good question. I mean, going into this industry, I didn't really know much about it. I didn't really know about, hey, what risks could come besides me not selling or nobody even recognizing my brand, or how loyal are my followers? Do they actually really love my pieces? Do they really love the concept of hijab neck covers? Do they really are they really inspired? How far are they inspired? So the greatest risk for me was spending my blood, sweat, and tears of 2.5 years of saving every dollar, not spending it on anything, and depriving myself of things that I wanted to do, such as traveling, such as buying things that I love, to make sure that every ounce, every piece of me goes towards creating these pieces. And that was the greatest risk involved. Is like, would I fail, or will I succeed? But sometimes um, is that people underestimate, like, yes, fear exists, just like anything, fear of riding a bicycle for the first time, fear of driving a car for the first time,
Yeah.
fear of flying for the first time, right? And there is a fear of opening up your business because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know these things. But what if you did it and it was successful and it worked out so great and it worked out so beautiful, and you're able to build an empire, to build a label that everybody, or every hijabi, or every Muslima has in her, in her home, has in her hijab wardrobe, is inspired by you, tags you, is inspired by you. And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, but like, you're actually making sure that these are actually modest.
Yeah.
They're truly veiling the Muslima from head to toe. It's not just about creating cute pieces, but how modest are they? So that fear exists all the time, but it's just like, how far are you willing to go? Of course, you have to take calculated risks. Nobody starts a business with $100,000. You could
Yeah.
start a business with 10, 3,
Yeah.
5, something that's reasonable, that, okay, you know what? If I put this 3,000, it's okay. As long as I get it back, at least I know that, you know what, I do have somebody out there, or a group of people that support me. And then that 3,000 can turn into 6, can turn into 12, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. Like there's no way to you can't find out unless you have to take the risk. And it's like a really cliche saying, but it's true because it's like you typically didn't know. Like you said, you didn't know if your following would be interested in buying the pizza. So you had to take that risk into making like just doing it so and seeing what the response was from everyone.
Absolutely.
hmm And today's Zara label sells hijabs, dresses, collections, loungewear, like just so many other pieces. But is that what it looked like at the beginning when you first started?
No, absolutely not. When I first started, we had 4 pieces, and those 4 pieces were just kind of like random things.
Hmm.
We called it a collection, but you know, it was just 4 pieces as I mentioned, and I had other pieces as well, but the photography didn't work out. They just didn't look right on the model, so I had to cancel that, you know, that launch. And then we had like 40 hijabs, a couple of undercaps and things like that. It was a very small collection, and right now our collections are growing vastly, and
Yeah.
you know, I can't even meet the demand. You know, my supply just simply cannot meet the demand because, you know, I studied it very well, and I have a lot of experience as an influencer. You know, I understand the side of influencer marketing and understand, you know, the business side of things because I do have that mindset. But it definitely did not look like what it looks like today. You know, not only are we growing, but like this summer we have 5 collections releasing, and we have
Wow.
a bunch of collections releasing in the fall as well. Like, you know, my team is growing, the team for Zahraa The Label is growing. So, you know, definitely did not look like what it looked like right now.
Yeah, and were you expecting it to grow this quickly and also just seeing the team that you have and the collections that you have today?
You know, I'm the type of person, I'm very hopeful,
Yeah.
and I have like good thoughts, and I'm very optimistic about things,
Yeah.
and I know that it, you know, nothing comes easy, nothing comes free in life. You have to work really hard to be successful, right? And Zahra the label came from that. It stemmed from that. It stemmed from my hard work. I mean, I put in 120 hours a week minimum. I live this,
Mashallah.
I breathe this, I eat this, I dream this. It's my life. So of course I had no option but to succeed. You know, but again, the fear existed where what if it didn't? But you know what? What if it does? What if I work really hard? And what if I put in every bit of my energy towards my label and make it the best that it can be, you know, and surpass everybody that started before me, which inshallah it will. And
Yeah.
you know, no doubt I had a hope in my heart that I will make sure that it only grows at an exponential rate. And alhamdulillah, shukrulillah, like we are doing that. We are exceeding our expectations.
Yeah, mashallah, like that's awesome. Honestly, like it's exciting to see that. So I'm definitely like
Thank you so much.
congratulations for that. But
Thank you so
speaking of
much.
like products, like when you have a new product in mind, like what is the process that you have to take from like taking it from an idea to a product that's on the website that people can buy?
Awesome. That's actually a really good question. People sometimes, you know, they look at an image online and they're like, "Oh, them just came to buy it," but they don't understand like how far it took to get this image on that
Yeah.
website. So it starts with an idea, with an inspiration, and you know, then you know, you make your sample, you get your sample, then you're like, okay, well, is this what I wanted? Do I want to change anything? You know, and like that. And then from there, you have to mass produce it. You have to purchase the materials.
Mhm.
You have to, you know, pay for the shipping. It has to come to you, and then you have to, hire a photographer. You have to hire a studio. You have to hire a model. You need to wait weeks of editing. You need to upload it on your website, and then you need to
Yeah.
work on SEO. You need to work on descriptions. Then you have to have a warehouse to store it. You need, you know, packaging supplies to ship it. You know, it takes around 6 months, I would say, to a
Wow.
year, depending
Wow.
on how far, you know, you are working on those collections. And now because I launched, no business launches knowing what they're going to do in a year, but like for
Mhm.
instance, I know what I'm going to do from right now till the next year, because I've reached a point where, okay, this is what we're going to be working on, this is what I want to have, this is the process that I'm going to take to achieve that. So yeah, I would say roughly minimum of 6 months.
Wow. Honestly, I did not know how long it takes for a product to seriously be from an idea and onto the website. But you also mentioned that you have it almost planned out about what like the next year might look like as like a estimation. Like is that like planned out on a business plan or do you have like a certain area that you write that out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are things that I map out on my calendar. These are things that I discuss with my team.
Mhm.
We, you know, have to be realistic. Sometimes things don't go as planned, which is okay because, you know, I just started. But moving forward, you know, again, it's about calculating, like making sure like that these errors don't happen and that collections are, you know, brought out in a certain time frame, because you have to make sure that you're ready for the consumer. You have to make sure that you're ready for the customer. So yeah, like it's something that I definitely discuss with my team.
And also like just we're just flowing right through this really well. But like as we're talking about teams right now, like do you have any employees that help you like keep the website going, post on socials, and more like what are their jobs that they have?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of people that work remotely. So they work
Mhm.
from different parts of the world. Actually, they're not even only here in the United States.
Oh,
And these are people that work on my social media. I have, you know, people that work on my marketing, people that work on my Pinterest, people that work on my Instagram account, people that work on my website. I have somebody working on, you know, emails, and I have somebody working on graphics. You know, and of course, I mean, you cannot wear all the hats. And if you do that, your business is not going to grow. So you do need to hire people that are very, they have a maximized skill set in their specific field. So that's, that's kind of how I go about it. And inshallah, the team is only growing, and I'm only hiring as time moves forward. Yeah.
And like you mentioned, like there's a team for, like, you have a very large team, mashallah, where they're doing a lot of different things and a lot of moving parts. Are you able to oversee all of it, or is there a point where you just have to trust the employees that you've hired?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Of course, in the beginning, you want to kind of set things in stone. You want to monitor. You want to make sure like that this person understands your business, understands what you want, understands your aesthetic. And that's why, you go through like a testing phase where you work with them for like a couple of weeks or a month. And you're like, okay, this person's really understanding what I need. And then you work with them. It's really important in the beginning that like I let them know like, hey, like I want to work with you long term. This is not like a 1 month job. This is not like a one-time thing. This is something that's going to provide you income for like the next year, 2 years, 3 years. And the more that you work well with the brand, the more the faster we grow, the more money that you make too, because that means you're going to be working with us at a longer time. So yeah, definitely that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, and how did you know when you needed to hire a team, and how did you like find applicants?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I post a lot of, job applications, and I'm like, like hiring. I post things sometimes on social media. I post them on my blogging page. And then there are other websites that you could like hire people, that work in these specific things. Yeah, I'm sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. I'm sorry, what was your question? I completely lost my mind of thought.
No, it's okay. It was just, how did you find your team and like get applicants?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so the applicants, there's professional websites that you can like hire people. You could look at their reviews and, things like that. And that's kind of how I go about it. Those are like business secrets that, like, I mean, nobody would like tell you how they hired somebody, but it is a process, and it's a very important process, because it can save you a lot of time and money.
Definitely, 100%. And like also just finding the right person can be hard for the company, so definitely makes sense.
Absolutely.
And what, like you mentioned, you're an influencer, and naturally you're also a mom, and you also run Zahraa The Label. Like, how do you balance all of that, and what does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, you know what? I got a lot of people asking me that question, and I'll be honest, sometimes, you just have to learn to, as a mother, there's like, you have an instinct, or as a human being, you have an instinct. Like, when you're watching too much TV, when you've been too long on your phone, when you need a break, right? So, me as a mother and as a business owner, I know exactly when I'm giving something too much attention or giving something too little attention. And it's very important to me to balance that out. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Is it stressful? Absolutely it is. But you know what? We take things day by day, and I try my best to give my children, the love and the time and the care that they deserve. And I put them alongside me, and I talk about this a lot on my Instagram, is that I put my children beside me. I let them understand when I have shoots. I let them understand when I work. I let them know that mama's making money. If you want to buy toys and if you want to go out to Chuck E. Cheese or Boomers, that mama has to work. And it's really important to put this perspective, because children think that money grows on trees. They don't understand that you work so hard to earn that dollar, to earn that $20 to go to Chuck E. Cheese, or to go buy your favorite wheelie shoes, or to go buy that Barbie doll that you saw on a YouTube video. So it's really important to help kids understand too, that when mama's working, because children don't understand, but if you bring them alongside you, it really might impact them in a positive way, because they're beside you. They see what you're doing. They're not really like, hey, I'm working, or get out of my way. It doesn't work like that. And the same thing for the business. The business is, and I call the business my needy husband, because business, is so needy. It's more needy than a child, and it's even more needy than a husband. And it's like, it's really so demanding, and the more you give it, the more it wants of your time. So that's why it's really important to hire and outsource people to work for you. And yeah, balancing my life is stressful. But I try to remain very patient, and I try to remain very hopeful that I'm doing the best that I can. And I always tell my children, like, mama's trying her best. Mama's working really hard. And I try, like, when I take them out to the park, to put my phone on the side, or just like even sometimes leave my phone at home, because I want to sit with them and play with them on the swing and talk about things, or lie down on the grass and look at clouds. Sometimes giving them that undivided, your undivided attention, really helps them feel like there's a connection.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
So
sure
that's
that's a
kind of
common concern. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that's a common concern. No, no, no worries. Sorry, I just completely missed that. But I'm sure that's like a common concern with parents. Like when they're working, they can't give their whole attention to their children. So like the fact that you can still teach them lessons while you're also working, like that's great
yeah,
multitasking.
absolutely. It's hard, but alhamdulillah, like we do
Mhm.
it.
Exactly. And honestly, that's like a common response that I get from guests that we've had on the show where they feel like we just
Mhm.
make it happen. It's something that when you are so passionate and dedicated to do all the things that you're doing, you will make it work and make it happen. You will make mistakes and it is
Mhm.
stressful, but it like you're gonna make it happen. So it is like really a common response that we get on the show from here. And modest clothing brands have become a little more popular. I feel like I see them more come up on explore pages and stuff like that. Like, how do you try to stay above the competition or ahead of the competition?
Yeah, that's a really good question,
Thank
actually.
you.
I mean, when I first started Zahraa The Label, of course, I used to work for a brand called Build Collection. They have beautiful designs, beautiful branding, beautiful everything. I'm still obsessed with them till this day. Just because I have my own label doesn't mean I don't give a brand credit.
Yeah.
And yes, as you mentioned, there are a lot of companies right now, and there is so much competition. But the reality is this: there are a lot of companies out there that purchase dresses that are already made. At Zahraa The Label, we don't do any of that. Nothing that you find on my website is made by anybody else.
Wow.
Even our cardigans are made from the thread. We start choosing things by the thread. Um, all of our dresses are designed and inspired by myself only and
Mm-hmm.
exclusively. And anything that you find on my website is exclusively designed by myself and even my team. Um, and that's how you remain separating yourself from other brands, is by creating your own pieces and not buying things by wholesale, because that's what a lot of these brands do. Sometimes you'll find a dress on a website, you'll find 5 other brands selling the same thing. That tells you that they're not designing pieces, they're just there to make money, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. But I'm here building a brand. I'm here putting in work that those brands are not. So yeah, they're making money, they have, they're able to earn the income that they're going for. But for me, it's not just that. It's not about making money. It's about how unique are my pieces going to be? How impactful are my hijabs going to be? How impactful is my fabric going to be? What about, for example, I designed a body shirt that you could wear under your dresses for summer or under anything, but nobody did them with a zipper. Zipper is there because body suits are very tight, and if you
Yeah.
want to perform wudu, you cannot perform wudu. So I designed it with a zipper. You just unzip it, you make your wudu, you close it back, and it's still tight. So it's creating pieces that really nobody thought about, because I really put in the effort as a Muslim woman who really tries to be modest as best as she could. I sit down and think, what problems do I have? Because if I have this problem, there are thousands,
Yeah.
if not hundreds of thousands of hijabi girls living in the United States and nationwide and internationally and worldwide, that have the same problem as me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to create pieces that make a difference. And that's how you set yourself apart. That's how you be unique. Like there's no brand that designed leggings to wear under dresses. Like right now, I don't really have much of those left, because summer's coming and you need something to wear under your maxi dresses. Like I was wondering, like how did I used to leave the house with just a slip underneath? What if I fell? What if the wind blew my dress? Are my thighs going to show? Are my legs going to show? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to compromise that. So I designed leggings. You wear those under, you could have nude, white, or black, and inshallah, we'll be having more colors. If the
Inshallah.
collection, pops off and it's a big bang, which
Yeah.
right now it's picking up, alhamdulillah, because summer's, right around the corner.
Exactly.
So this is how I set myself apart by being inspired and being me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm me. My brand is me. And it speaks me, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a different vision than other brands. But at the same time, you have to remain, trendy. You have to remain as cute and as chic as you can. So it's a mix of different factors. It's a variety of different things.
Right. And like I feel like as an influencer, you understand having that personal touch with your customers and
Mhm.
having that like understanding of who like what they need because you are your customer. Like you're a Muslim woman who
Absolutely.
has that concern. And so you're able to make that personal touch and like talk to people and be like, look, like don't compromise your hijab, don't compromise your modesty, like buy this, like and it truly like you would
Absolutely.
understand that. And so they would feel touched like with you and they would understand everything like that.
I feel like it's really important to me. Like, a lot of times I'll be, sometimes I could scroll through like my DMs on Zahra The Label.
Yeah.
And sometimes like, I read these comments and my team will send me like, hey, like look at what so and so said. And I'm like, wow, people like just thinking. Thank you so much for creating this hijab because it really made a difference in my life. Thank you so much. I'm a recent convert. I don't know how to wear hijab, but this is a game changer for me. Thank you so much. And I'm like, this is why I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I do everything that I do, because I want to make sure that even if I impact one person, I did my job. So imagine impacting more. So that's what brings me that sense of that buzz inside, that like that high feeling inside, that yes, I did it. And I'm gonna keep on doing it. And then I'm even gonna make it better and better with time and innovate as much as I can. I had a lot of girls on TikTok call my brand the hijabi engineer brand. Um, because we engineer hijabs to be in a certain way where it's like, what the heck is this? Like the Zahra Insta chiffon hijab, which has the magnet stitched to it, the chiffon, the premium chiffon hijab,
Mm-hmm.
and an undercap, the Fatima cover hijab underneath. And you just literally put this thing on, and in 2 seconds you have a hijab design.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely changed the game.
I mean, it has like sometimes to business owners, like they might be scrolling through their own website, they may be like, oh, like we've just had these hijabs and they're beautiful, but to a customer, like when they see a very beautiful hijab, which I know Zahra The Label has because I've looked at them too, and like
Mhm.
people would feel motivated to wear them. People would want to feel like, wow, like I want to wear this, and that is a huge impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, is to impact women and impact Muslim women to wear hijab confidently and really be empowered.
Exactly. And I asked you earlier, like, what in the interview, like, what were the initial risks when you started Zara the Label? What are the risks that you face now, and like, how do they compare to the beginning risks?
Um, the risks are right now still understanding the ideal customer.
Mm-hmm.
What does the customer want? What does the customer crave? What does the customer like? Going to school? Are they working? Are they moms? Are they older? What do they do on the weekends? What do they eat on Sunday? Do they like, what
Yeah.
type of activities do they like to do? Just really understand, because your customer ideally is one person. It's a she. Who
Mm-hmm.
is she? And just, trying to understand who my ideal customer is. Who is she? That's the biggest risk, because you want to make sure that you are creating every single piece and every single hijab to make sure that it fits her.
Mm-hmm.
And her is going to be a very specific woman, a very specific young girl. And inshallah, this risk will be eliminated down the line once I truly understand. And this is just like understanding things as I go, because right now I'm trying. Do they
Mm-hmm.
like this? Do they like that? What colors do they like? Oh, they didn't like that color. Oh, wait, they love this color. Oh, wait, they love this product in this color. Well, I'm going to make way more for that because that's what they love. So it's just
Yeah.
understanding. Right now, it's kind of like dating, like you're getting to meet somebody, you're
Yeah.
going to get married in a year. Well, I need to know everything about that person before I marry them. So it's the same thing. I need to know everything about them before I create those pieces.
Exactly, and that could be hard to gather the information sometimes. And how do you do that? So that definitely makes sense. And the last question that
Mhm.
we ask all our guests is, if you could give one piece of advice to anyone that wants to start their own label or their own brand, what would that be?
Just start.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. Every time I get SS, I say just start. Because if you're going to wait for the time that's right, okay, you're not going to find that time. You need to start, because nobody starts off perfect. No brand starts off perfect. I changed so many things since I started my brand. Like a couple of times. And had I just kept on waiting and waiting and waiting, I wouldn't have launched my brand. So just start right now. If you have a vision in your head, plan it out, map it out, execute, and start. You're never going to be perfect. And it will never be perfect. It could be the best it could be with time, but you have to go out there and you have to face your fears.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing advice for honestly anyone that wants to start anything. So again, jazakallah so much, Sister Zara, for joining us today in this interview. Where can everyone find you? Where can everyone find the label? Anything like that?
Yeah, so you guys can visit my Instagram, Zahra_H Berro. And you guys can visit Zahra the Label, which is Zahra the Label on Instagram. You can visit my blog, zahraberro.com, and shop Zahra the Label on zahrathelabel.com. And you can use my discount code Zahra20 to always save 20%. You can use that discount code as much as you want. You save 20% off during checkout. And yeah, thank you so much for the love, and thank you so much for hearing me out to the end.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us your wisdom. I'm sure everyone benefited from this that was watching. So we'll leave all the links and even the discount code in the description box down below. And inshallah, we will see you all next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.